Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. My name is Victor if you are new here, and today I am going to be talking about a plugin that I have been wanting forever, Dehancer. Dehancer is a color grading software that does film emulation, so basically giving you that soft, cozy, warm, nostalgic feeling that we all come to know and love. And it's something that a lot of creators are taking advantage of right now because of how easy it is to use and how amazing it can make your footage or photos look. And like I said, I've actually wanted this software for a very long time, and I am so fortunate that the company reached out to me so that way I could try it myself and teach you guys how to use Dehancer as well. So I do want to preface that they did send me this, but this tutorial and review is my honest opinion. That's it. That's all I have to say about it. So stick with me to the end. I'm going to show you guys my process of moving through this footage step by step. And if you stay to the end, I'll show you a little something extra. Okay, so with all that out of the way, I want to go ahead and start by saying that I love this program so far. I've only been using it for a short while, but it is amazing. It's like basically took all the vision that I have in my head for a color grade and made it possible. Because I love that like filmic nostalgic look, but I hate doing all the weird workarounds in Premiere. It just doesn't feel great. This simplifies all that, renders way faster, and is just amazing. So the examples I want to show you guys are pretty simple, but basically I brought my camera into Disneyland and Disney's California Adventure, and I shot a series of static shots. I'm basically doing like the postcards thing, so postcards from Disney. But what I wanted to do was just really showcase how a magical scenery, kind of like Disney with a lot of pastel colors and fun, can look even more nostalgic, you know? So without further ado, let me go ahead and show you guys those clips. Pretty fun, right? Like, I just think it really made it feel old school, nostalgic, warm, fuzzy, cozy, all the things I said earlier. It's perfect. So I want to get into this software. So let's jump over to my screen so you guys can see how to use Dehancer step by step. All right, so we are currently in my editing software of choice, which is Adobe Premiere Pro. So after you go ahead and install Dehancer on your computer, PC, or Mac, in Premiere Pro, it's going to be sitting in your effects panel. So if you can see it right down here, we'll do it again, just effects, Dehancer, boom, there you go. But I always like to put things on adjustment layers. I don't want anything to become a destructive color grade. So first step, let's go ahead and go over here, grab an adjustment layer, drag it over top, and we can go ahead and cut the adjustment layer. So I have 4 scenes here, 2 daytime, 2 nighttime. They all have different purposes, but we'll get into it. With our first shot, let's go ahead and drag on Dehancer. And right away, doesn't look good, but that's okay. That's not what we're here for. You can see there's a bunch of different tabs, which might be overwhelming at first, but truthfully, it's not. You just got to go through them slowly like I did. First thing you're going to do is we're going to go to our input. Since I shot this all on S-Log on my A7S III, you want to go to your source, change it to a camera, and then we'll scroll down. A7S III, S-Log, S-Gamut 3, Cine. Click. Boom. Okay. Already getting better. Now in here, you have some basic exposure compensation stuff, some basic color temperature, tint compensation, green or magenta, fringing, all that stuff's good. So that's it for input. Pretty simple, nothing crazy. Let's go ahead and move down to the film tab. Now, automatically, it'll put you on Kodak Vision 3 250D, and I've kind of found that's my favorite anyway. So it's great that that's the base one they start you on. Of course, if you look, there are countless options. I mean, there's so many. It's almost overwhelming. So play with it. Find one that you really like. It's insane. Color Plus, which I love Color Plus. All of it's really good. But for now, I want to go ahead and just stick with Kodak Vision 3 250D. And you can push or pull the values, which is kind of cool. Basically makes it less punchy it's almost like a contrast dial. And then this button, enable, is going to be on a lot of the tabs, and that will just enable the effect. So a lot of them are actually defaulted off. So if you're scrubbing through things and you're like, why isn't it working? Hit the enable button. So check this out. Boom, without it. Boom, with it. Without it, with it. Let's move on. So the film developer tab is, again, you're running through contrast, things like that. But notice how I'm playing with this slider and nothing is happening. Guess why? Boop. You have to enable it. And then the gamma, to me, doesn't do too much to my eyes. Same with the color separation. But that being said, color boost, super useful. It's basically just saturation. So we're going to take the color boost. And if you look, like, that's like ultra max. It's like, whoa, it's too much. Okay. I think somewhere around like 40-ish. So let's check this. Off, on. And that just honestly adds that like little bit of color. Makes the scene feel like it has, you know, some blush. So that's it for film developer. We can move down to the film compression tab. Same thing, hit enable so you don't wonder why nothing's working. Impact is basically changing the white values, and I'm kind of a fan of it being a little bit lower, if I'm being honest. That way the white still has some punch to it. Tonal range. This one feels like it just kind of pulls the color out, so I don't really play with it all that much. Color density, same thing. It's almost like more like a vibrance, but less. Anyways, that's film compression. Now we move on to the expand tab, which this is great. I always like adjusting the black point because it can make an image so punchy or so flat. But again, I really like the contrast we have set right now for this particular scene, so I'm okay with it. White point, bad. We're good there in the expand. Print, this is an important tab. So the print tab is automatically set to linear. Now, if you're shooting in Rec 709, that's honestly a pretty good place to start. Linear is great. I like to switch it over to the Kodak 2383 print film because it's beautiful. All right, onwards and upwards. So we are going to play with all of our target white in here. This is kind of nice. This is just better setting your white balance, honestly. You can play exposure compensation, all this stuff, which like, too bright. Contrast, I'm okay. Color density, I honestly think we're fine. The only thing it really does is play with the blues in this sky. And you know what? No, I lied to you. We're not fine. I'm going to play with it. We're going to go 30. Yeah, 30. Saturation, same thing. You know, make it black and white. Make it not black and white. So I'm going to go ahead and show you guys. This is with print off and print on. Pretty big difference. This is a really, really important tab. Then moving on to the color head. This is for like the people who want to get like real into it. Me personally, I haven't played around much with this because I don't like tinkering too much. I don't know. You play with yellow, blue, magenta, green, cyan, reds. It's a cool tab. I think this is a really important tab if you particularly want to get a very specific look, or if like one of the film emulations that they have doesn't feel like it quite nailed it. This is where you can start leaning into making it your own. Next up on the film grain, the best. Automatically, it is set to the 35mm ISO 250. That's what I like the best. I've tried the other ones, you know, sometimes it gets a little too distracting in the other film profiles, except for 65. 65, it doesn't even look like it exists. The 35mm ISO 250, to me, it's just simple, perfect, beautiful. Aces. But now moving on to the GOAT tabs, in my personal opinion, which are Halation and Bloom. So with the Halation, it's so good. If you enable it, see what's happening here? You get this like weird film cast. Basically anything that's a highlight is starting to get this like red edge, which is very reminiscent of Cinestill 800T. It's not particularly well suited for this scene, so I'll probably keep it off here. But for things that are backlit, which I'll show you guys in a little bit, maybe you're shooting on the street or you're shooting with neon signs, anything like that, it's going to look really good. And like I said, I have examples for you guys to show you. So I'll actually keep this off for right now, but what I will do is go into the bloom, and this is the same thing. Anything that is a highlight, it's just going to take it and add that soft glowing gradient edge to it, which to me looks amazing. Like, this is a little intense, but the good news is with all the options that you have between Halation and Bloom, there's also a custom setting. So if you really wanted to, you can go in here and like freaking change anything. Like, you know, make it as bright as you want, make it way less reactive to light. There's a lot of options. Again, Dehancer, the best. because it just is. But I'm going to set it to 35 millimeter because I think that works really great for this. Okay, but obviously these two are my favorite. I just think this stuff looks amazing and really sells the look. So the next few tabs are kind of interesting. So film damage, I actually do like. I think it adds character and texture. It's just adding the dust, scratches, things like that playing across your film. And again, you have options or you can customize it, which is pretty sweet. Now, film breath, to me, I don't really use it. To me, it's a little bit distracting. It kind of looks like colors and how things are moving through. Like, because if you're actually going through a reel of film, there's going to be movement, there's going to be color shifts, things like that. It looks cool, but it's just not for me, but it is cool. And then same thing with the gate weave. It's like as the reel is, moving so fast to show you the film, it kind of jiggles and wiggles and dances. This is emulating that. So your footage has this kind of like kind of look. And then Overscan, this is kind of fun actually. So let me go ahead and enable Overscan here. This is giving you like the different film edges that you would see outside of the negative. So you have like a Super 8 burn, which is pretty cool. You could do 16 mil, ultra 16 mil, which is sick. It's like a widescreen. 35, widescreen 35, which is kind of fun. It looks like you're getting all the reels. So maybe you can like play with that effect, is really sick. The ultra Panavision, which is super sick. Like this is just kind of like a built-in pano effect, which is awesome. Then you can play with like the exposure values of the holes on the side of the negative, which is kind of cool because you're getting a lot of light through them too, and they wiggle and dance as well. I'm not going to use Overscan for these, even though I do think it's sick, but cool to know that if you needed that look, that it's in here and you can just turn it on or off. Vignette, self-explanatory. Adds a vignette. You obviously can change all the values, which I think is super important again, because who wants just one option? I want like 10,000. This is honestly kind of sick. The clipping indicator is fine. I haven't really found a use for it, but the false color, kind of tight. You just have a false color overlay and then you can play with it and see the values change as you're editing, which when you're color grading is super freaking useful. Okay, then there's output, and that is basically telling you how strong Dehancer is going to work. 0 to 100. I'm keeping it at 100 because I like the way it looks. You could do whatever you want. Keep it at 50% power if you'd like. LUT Generator, this is pretty sick. I haven't used it yet, but you do have the option to export the look. So that way, if you were like, oh man, I really like shooting on a partly cloudy sunny outdoor day, let me save this LUT because the colors look tight. Saved. Done. Pew pew. And then the device is just literally telling you the device that you're using right now, but that's whatever. But that is Dehancer as a whole, right? That is top to bottom Dehancer. So now what I want to do is just quickly show you guys how to take these scenes to their maximum potential. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and just copy this because I think it's a really good base starting layer. I'm going to apply it to everything. Boop. That doesn't look good. Ignore that. But let's take this shot of Space Mountain, for example. Without Dehancer, with Dehancer. Pretty cool, but not quite it. We lost a lot of our dynamic range. So one thing that I really like to encourage people to do is actually add another adjustment layer. I know it seems excessive, but trust me, it's kind of worth it. So on this particular one, we're going to go on this top layer and start tinkering. Play with your highlights, get some of that dynamic range back. But I just think not using Lumetri paired alongside of Dehancer would be silly, because as great as Dehancer is, you can just finesse it and really dial in your look. So use Lumetri. So anyways, this is without Lumetri, with Lumetri. Now you can fix this in Dehancer because there's a lot of settings for like white point and all that stuff. I just like having the flexibility of not affecting what we did and how it kind of tears down. So the adjustment layer, kind of nice. This next shot is my favorite shot. Flo's V8 Cafe. This shot is so sick, but I'm going to show you how to make it even sicker. Okay, so remember halation and bloom? Well, we're going to go into there. I'm going to turn on, oh, the bloom is already on. Forgot about that. But I want to show you guys what it's doing. So we're going to zoom into here because I want you to really see what's happening. So if I go ahead and disable the bloom, The bloom is just adding that gorgeous, gorgeous, soft gradient of light coming off the neon, which I think really completes the scene. And if we move up to halation, my favorite. Ready? Boom. Come on. That is so sick to me. Let's go ahead and zoom this back out. No halation with halation. It's so cool. I love it so much. Okay. And then I'll just go ahead and show you completely stark of these two. So that is no bloom with bloom, no halation, added halation. I just think it looks so awesome. Like when you really see the scene move together and how the lights flicker and how they glow, it makes you feel like you're in an old movie. It's beautiful. Now, one thing again to note is in my adjustment layer up here, I think some of these shadows are a little too dark, truthfully. So I'm going to go ahead and nudge the exposure just a little bit and then play into my shadows. Again, like maybe go into like 19 here is perfect. Without it, with it, just liven the scene up. Don't be afraid of lumetri. So this scene to me is incredible. And this is like the best case use of this function, halation and bloom specifically. Look at this without Dehancer. With, without, with, without. To me, night and day. Like again, I will zoom in for the sake here so you guys can see this. Without Dehancer, with Dehancer. And then last but not least, I have this great shot of the dining area of San Fran, Tokyo. And to me, this is another use case where halation and bloom are really going to shine. So let's go ahead and zoom into these lanterns. Now bloom is already on. So that's bloom off, bloom on. Go ahead and enable halation. A shabam. It looks so sick. Okay. Whoopsies, that was not what I wanted to do. So if we zoom back out and I go ahead and take these off, boom, boom. And I'm gonna go ahead and take off Dehancer. That's the shot without Dehancer. Dehancer on. Then we're gonna go ahead and add bloom. Then we're gonna add halation. It makes you feel like you're watching 35mm film, 16mm film, whatever you want. I mean, you got all the freaking options here, but it's just a great way to showcase how powerful this tool can really be. So that's it, guys. I mean, I kind of took you through 2 different daytime lit scenes. And again, don't be afraid of lumetri. I think one thing that's really good, especially if you're shooting in a fixed lighting environment, similar to how I'm shooting in here, is using that LUT generator. Because if you know the lighting's never going to change or you're going to shoot exactly the same settings, that's going to save you a ton of time in post. Not to mention that there is no one perfect color grade. Everything is to your own style. So this program will really just let you hone and create a vision or a stylistic choice that fits your brand or personality better. And that's why I think Dehancer is so great. So that's it, guys. That is it for my review / tutorial on Dehancer. I hope you enjoyed watching it and hopefully you learned something. To me, this software is that thing that took my creative grades from like a personal 8 out of 10 to a 10 out of 10. It really added that flair, that flavor, contrast, whatever you want to call it, that makes me super stoked. It makes me want to keep shooting. It makes me want to get better at color grading and understand the software even more. And I can't go back on my word. I promised you guys something a little extra earlier in the video if you made it this long, and that little extra is Dehancer is on iOS. So follow along with me here. What we're going to do is go ahead and open the app. Let's go ahead and find a photo. Got this photo of my buddy having a good time at a party the other night. And similar to Dehancer on the computer, you can go through and just start plugging and playing with all these different film options. So let's go like Astrum color. And there's a lot, guys. Let me look at me scrolling. There's a lot of colors in here. You know what? Actually, is there Kodak Gold in here? There should be. Kodak Gold's sick. But even better is if you go to the Edit tab, look at all this stuff. Look at the bottom. Crop, source, film types, developer, compression, expand, print, color head, film grain, halation, bloom. It's all the same stuff that we get on there. The only difference is to access it, you touch it once, that'll turn it blue. If you touch it again, it turns off that blue little dot. That means the whole effect is off. And again, you have the overscan option if you want to do some real cool stuff like that. Kind of just make some really fun effects, you know, have fun with it and create some fun things on Instagram. It's just incredible. Having Dehancer on my phone, my iPad, or my computer to create a consistent image or video theme across all platforms is so crucial to building a brand, especially if you do that LUT generator, things like that, or save the presets on your phone. Imagine how fast you can get photos done, just like boom, open Dehancer, click, done. You like minimal tweaks, you know it's gonna look good and you're gonna feel good about it too. So all that being said, I am done talking. I have talked all your ears off, but hopefully you did learn something and you took away any bit of knowledge. If you're new to Dehancer, if you're already great at Dehancer, let me know what are some things I should really look into that you love. But for me, this software is a game changer, and I think it's a game changer for anyone who really wants to dive into it. And if you want 10% off, I do have a code VSFilms, so go ahead, go to dehancer.com, find the program there, type in VSFilms at checkout, get 10% off, because I'm telling you, I'm mad I didn't get this software sooner because I love it. And I know you guys will love it too. So get out there, make something beautiful. Cheers to you guys. See you in the next one.